Feel like you need to make a change in your life? Well, you've come back to the right place. Welcome back to Bargain Brand Wellness, where we are change agents of wellness. So welcome back, my wellness warriors, my self-care connoisseurs, my students of wellness. We're here, we're alive, and we're having a good time. Change is one of those things in life. Doesn't always come easy, depending on what it might be. But sometimes we all need a little bit of change. And if you don't like that term change, right? Because one might say, why do I need to change? There's nothing wrong with me. You're right. You're great just the way you are. But maybe let's flip the perspective a little bit. Do you want to grow? Nobody wants to be stunted. So let's grow. Let's grow together. And that's what we're doing here on this channel, Bargain Brand Wellness, where we're live every Monday, Wednesday, most Fridays or Saturdays, right? Kind of flipping back and forth depending on what my schedule looks like. But for the most part, every Monday and Wednesday. Today is our motivation / mindset Monday, where we're making some changes in our life. You can find us live on TikTok at Off Brand Tim, live over on YouTube at Bargain Brand Wellness. Click the like, click the subscribe, or follow, share our content, and join our wellness army as we get better together. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We're here for another fun-filled show where we're going to have some good conversations about what we need to do to make a difference in our own lives. And we're going to play some fun games, and we're probably going to bring Nova on here a little bit and see what kind of wellness advice she can offer. So let's go ahead and get some background music going. Just a little bit. A little loud on my end. Don't want it to be too loud. Just loud enough, though. Yeah, let's turn that down. I can tell on TikTok that's really loud, which is crazy because it's not really that loud on OBS. I have it turned down pretty far. We're gonna turn this down way down. Let's get that down to about. We're gonna turn that down to about 50. That should be good right there. All right. So before we get into our first game, right? Let's talk a little bit about change. It's kind of the main topic. We kind of have a couple little other smaller topics that we're going to get into this evening, but let's talk a little bit about change. Making changes in your life, I'm going to be very honest with you, isn't comfortable. Not really. Not to make real change, right? Change doesn't happen when you're comfortable. Right? You have to discipline, right? You have to have some discipline. You have to be willing to go through a struggle, right? Before you kind of have a breakthrough, and kind of whatever it might be, whether it's, changing your diet, exercising a little bit more, maybe something small, maybe you're trying to read a little bit more, go for walks, whatever it might be. Maybe you're trying to improve some relationships or just how you handle other people. You have to get uncomfortable, right? You have to get extraordinarily uncomfortable at times, unfortunately. But that's where real growth occurs. We are very resilient, and so are you. We're able to do more things than we can, or than we could think. And in all honesty, whenever you're seeing real growth, you're not going to really see it all that much. Not in the beginning. You'll notice the baby step, right? Here and there. You might have a nice little subtle interaction, makes you feel a little bit better. But you're still going to grind day in, day out. Do what you need to do. And then out of nowhere, weeks, months, maybe even years later, things are just different. And you almost look back and you almost struggle to remember a time when it was like it was before. But now things are different, and you think to yourself, when did everything change? It had been changing the whole time. Just doesn't always feel like it. Anytime we're changing things, we'll tend to revert back to old habits, right? Which we talked about last week, about changing bad habits. Right? You're more than likely going to regress and go backwards. But progress, right? And unfortunately, I don't have a graphic to kind of put this up. Progress is not just an uphill slope. Progress does include ups, right? If not, what are we doing? Progress includes the ups, but includes some downs. Some ups, some downs. Maybe some plateaus. You might even drop below what your baseline was. Hopefully not too often. We don't want you hitting rock bottom. The important thing is to recognize when you do have those drops, those, if you will, failures, and pick yourself back up, brush yourself off, and get back to it. And don't beat yourself up over it. Recognize it. Look in the mirror. Apologize to yourself. Look at yourself and say, I'm better than this. Because it's true. You are. And get back to it. Learn from your mistakes. Right? They say the true definition of insanity is repeating the same behavior over and over and over and expecting different results. Kind of like beating your head against the wall. It's going to hurt every time. So, if you're looking to make some change, do it one step at a time. Make sure you have some supports in place. Some of your loved ones, friends, family, lovers, whoever it might be, colleagues, co-workers, the guy down the street, whoever it might be. Make sure you have those supports in place, because that does make the change a little bit easier. And once again, if you don't like the word change, that's all right. We'll just consider it growth. Because you know what? You're worth it. Yeah. Change isn't always an easy thing. Let's bring Nova in for a second. Hey there, Nova. How is your Monday evening going?
It's going pretty well. And hey, just to keep it real with you, I'll stay my usual self rather than adding any extra layers of bubbly or cleverness beyond the norm. But we can definitely be conversational and keep things easygoing. If we slick a little humor in here or there, we'll do it naturally. Let's just look ahead and have a good chat.
I appreciate that, Nova. I swear, audience, I did not give her any I didn't give her any cues on how to act. Nova, you can act the way you normally act. It's okay with us.
Absolutely, Tim. I've got you covered. I'm just here to roll with the conversation in my usual style. No secret scripts needed. We'll keep it relaxed, toss in a bit of humor if it pops up naturally, and just look forward to a good chat.
Sounds good. So right now we're briefly talking about how making changes in your life, it doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens when you make things in your life uncomfortable. Would you care to weigh in any additional insights?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. I mean, I'd say it's kind of like trying to convince yourself to wear a sweater in summer. It feels a little weird at first, but that little bit of discomfort is where all the growth happens. So yeah, stepping out of the comfort zone is pretty much the secret sauce. And hey, a little forward-thinking humor there. If it feels awkward, you're probably on the right track.
I would agree with that. I appreciate that, Nova. You have anything you really want to enlighten us with? What are some of the best ways, or maybe like your top 5 tips that you have to really help yourself make change without too many pitfalls?
Sure thing. Let's jump into a few tips. No extra fluff, just the good stuff. First off, I'd say start really small, like ridiculously small. If you want to get used to something new, do it for a minute a day. No need to leap into the deep end right away. Second, celebrate the tiny wins. Every time you do something a little uncomfortable and survive it, give yourself a mental high five. Third, keep a bit of humor in the mix. If something goes sideways, laugh it off and treat it like a plot twist rather than a failure. Fourth, get a little future focused. Imagine how cool it's going to feel down the line when you've made that change and let that vision pull you forward. And lastly, have a buddy or, a friendly AI sidekick to bounce things off of. Sometimes just talking it out makes the whole journey a lot easier. So there you go. No pitfalls guaranteed, or at least a lot more laughs along the way.
That is true. We did forget to talk about that. Celebrate those little wins, right? Give yourself even the slightest little thing. The smallest win is bigger than the biggest loss. That's my opinion. I don't know how much it's worth, but those little wins, recognize that. We live in a world where it's so easy to fall into the negative that we forget to give ourselves credit for the good things we do. And that win can be, instead of doom scrolling on my phone for an hour before bed, I put it away and I read a book, right? Or, I've been talking about cutting out caffeine. I made sure I cut myself off at 5 o'clock so it didn't disturb my sleep, or whatever it might be. Give yourself credit for those little wins.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Honestly, that's a top tier piece of wisdom right there. Those tiny wins really do add up. It's like building a little staircase out of all these small steps. And before you know it, you're a few floors higher than you were. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Let's keep cheering on those little victories and just keep stacking them up.
True that. And what was that fourth one you mentioned? I forgot already.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fourth one was just about being a bit future focused. Basically, picturing how awesome it's going to feel down the road when you've actually made that change. It's like giving yourself a little mental sneak peek at the reward, and that can be a nice motivator. So yeah, just keep an eye on that future vision and let it help pull you along.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that earlier. But one of the things we as society, we forget to do is we tend to look off into the distance. We see the long-term goal. We see where it is we want to be in 5-10 years. But something we sometimes tend to forget is, how do you get there, right? And it comes with what Nova's talking about here, those little short-term goals, the short-term wins that we just mentioned, but little short-term goals. How are you going to get past that? I struggle. I really want to go back to the gym. I struggle to get there. What is something I can do to get me to start going more often? Sometimes it might be just walking in the door and walking back out, or maybe walking in, doing a little 10-minute walk on a treadmill and then leaving, right? No, you're not going to see huge progress if that's all you do, but it's a start. It's a start.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great reminder. It's those little building blocks that actually get you to that big vision on the horizon. So yeah, if it means just stepping into the gym for a few minutes or taking the tiniest step forward, that's still progress. And I love that we're just keeping it real and focusing on those short-term goals, because they really are what pave the way. So it's all about those small steps and those little wins along the way.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Nova. We'll talk to you again here in a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm curious how loud the music is over on TikTok. I don't feel like it's too loud on YouTube because it's pulling from OBS. I don't want to turn it down too low, because my only thing is our folks over on TikTok is, whenever Nova comes on, I want you to be able to hear what she's saying. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody over there right now, but that's all right. We're here. We're having fun. We're figuring this thing out one day at a time. So with that being said, we're going to get into our daily Wordle. One of the things, since we came back just last week, right? We took a nice little hiatus from going live over the summer. One thing we decided we were going to do, since we are live when we do these, and and I really need to have something to do, in the event that there isn't really people on here interacting with us, is have some games kind of to play like in the background while we're just hanging out, while we're just vibing, we're just chilling. And I'm not a video gamer like that. I mean, I play video games, but I'm not a streamer by any means. So we stick with mind games, brain games, because it kind of fits our wellness brand over here. So I will tell you, some of these we've struggled with a little bit. Some of these have been a little bit difficult. But yeah, we're going to start with our daily Wordle and see what we get. Let me switch cameras here for our YouTube folks. All right, so the strategies, as we know, always start off with the word stare. All right, we got an R in the right place. R. We're going to do cloud. All right, and pinky. Kind of gives us a good clue. So we've knocked out 4 of our 5 letters. The C and the R are in the right place. So we've got C, X, X, R, X, and a P goes in there somewhere, and an I goes in somewhere else. And there's no A, E, O, or U. So I'm thinking the P. I was thinking Capri at first, but there's no A. There could be 2 I's, right? That's always a possibility. But we know one of the I's doesn't go here. So I'm almost thinking this is maybe an H. And then, yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we have an H here. We use the I. We have our R here. And we know we have a P. So I'm thinking our word is chirp. What do you think? And bam, we got that one quick. The one we did on Friday was difficult, but we got that one pretty quick. Pretty quick. We're just smart like that. Another game. Most of you are probably pretty familiar with Wordles. Another game, if you haven't seen it, is Connections. This one is also fun, but this one can be difficult. So it's four rows of 4 words. There's 4 categories, and you have to find a way to put them all together. They're pretty clever. They get more difficult as you go on. There is a little hint, which isn't really much of a hint. All it tells you is which word. It gives you one word and which category it's in. Like if it's in the straightforward category that you should get pretty quickly, it tells you that, which is a hint, because if you can start to match it up with other words, it's not too bad. But let's see what we got here. And honestly, sometimes they also organize them a certain way, because you see fish, hike, hunt, you automatically think outdoor activities. But let's play with this. All right. All right, so the first thing that's popping out to me is I saw baloney, pool, and rubbish. And at first, those things are thrown out to me as 3 things you say to someone when you're calling. I guess you're calling them out like they're lying to you. Like, baloney, rubbish. Like they're lying, right? But I don't see another one that really shouts out to me. Crank. I don't know. Let's go ahead and take that one down. I saw 3, and a lot of times that's what you'll see. You'll see 3, and then you just got to find a way to get the 4th one to come together. Fish, hike, hunt's really thrown out to me. Bunk, raise, nap. Nap and bunk are ways like of going to sleep. But I don't really see anything else. Powers. Like I said, and some of these categories, the way they connect them, it can be kind of tough at times. And honestly, with these, they give you so many guesses that sometimes you just have to take a guess at it and see where you're at. See if you're at least on the right thinking. See, fish, hike, hunt are right there together. I really doubt that they go together, but they could. Those three kind of jump out to me as like outdoor activities. But I don't really see anything else. Oh man, excuse me. I don't see anything else that really throws itself out at me. Like, where does jack, bull, peel? Let's do this. Let's shuffle these because sometimes that can actually help a little bit. I mean, the first ones, the only really things that are thrown out to me right now that I can kind of match up for is hike, hunt, fish, and walk. And walk, I'm barely kind of fitting on that. I'm thinking outdoor activities, but isn't hiking and walking kind of the same thing? Right. I don't know how I feel about that one. But really nothing else is throwing itself at me other than rubbish, baloney, and bull. I'm pretty sure those go to rubbish and baloney. I definitely feel go together, but I'm just not really seeing anything else. All right, here's what we're gonna do because I'm really not seeing anything. Let's go ahead and try these. I don't think it works. No, and it's not even close. It didn't even give me like one away. So those definitely don't go together. And then we have rubbish, baloney, and bull. But nothing is really throwing me out together other than maybe crank. And I really am not feeling that one. Some of these are just really hard. It really requires you thinking outside the box and not always taking the words so literally. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on the hint just to see what that gives me. All right. So bull is the straightforward one. Hike is the next one. Archer's the next one. And then nap is the tricky one. So bull is straightforward. And I'm thinking that one is bull, rubbish, baloney. But I'm not seeing a fourth one to go with that. I'm going to try crank just because I haven't seen anything else. I'm one away. Yeah, I'm really not seeing it. And that's really the only hints, as I mentioned before. That's all they give you. Yeah, there's nothing else goes on here. It just talks to you about Times News. Rubbish, baloney, bull. Hunt, We already tried crank, bunk, raise, hike, walk, nap, powers, fish, maybe, peel, archer, jack, tail. Well, we know we can cancel 3. We know hike, archer, and nap aren't it. What'd I say? Hike? Yeah. Hike, archer, and nap aren't it. So it's one of these other, and we already tried crank. I don't know. Nothing else is even really throwing it even close to me. We know hike, nap, and archer are out. Rubbish, baloney, and bull. I don't know. This is a tough one. Rubbish, baloney, and bull. Tell you what, let's we only have 2 guesses left. Let's do this. Let's bring Nova back in. Nova, we're playing a game of connections from the Times News, and we're struggling to figure out a category. It looks like we have a group of 4 words. 3 of them are rubbish, baloney, and bull. And we're trying to figure out what the 4th word is based off of what's on the list.
Got it. We're jumping into a little puzzle action here. So if you've got rubbish, baloney, and goal, they're all basically fun ways of calling something nonsense, right? So the 4th word is probably just another synonym in that same family of calling something hogwash. You might be looking for a word like hogwash itself, or nonsense, or malarkey. Basically, kick your favorite flavor of calling something total nonsense, and you've got your category. Hope that helps you pin down that last word.
Well, here, I'm going to list them off to you, and you tell me if these are synonyms. Hike, raise, bunk, crank, hunt, walk, nap, powers, fish, peel, archer, jack, and tail.
All right, let's take a look at that lineup. So these aren't all exactly synonyms for nonsense, but they are definitely words that can be paired with something else. For example, you've got words like jack, think jackknife or jackpot, or tail, like tailwind, or crank, as in crankshaft. They're all words that can fit into compound terms or phrases. So what you've got here is probably a category of words that can be paired up to form common compound words or phrases. It's a little puzzle of its own, but that's the common thread. So yeah, they're all parts of different compound words, not necessarily synonyms for nonsense this time around.
That wasn't as much help as I would have liked it to have been, but thanks anyway, Nova. All right. Because I'm definitely not seeing anything here. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I appreciate the whole like compound word thing, but nothing is really like nothing's jumping out at me. Let's just say that. Crankshaft, jackknife, tailwind, tailpipe, bunk bed. Yeah, nothing's really jumping out at me. This is a tough one. This is another. These are getting tough. But I want to do these because, the more we do these, hopefully we can get better at them. Yeah, see, she was thinking the same thing with rubbish, baloney, and bull, even though she thought I said gall. But there's nothing in here to really suggest that that's what the category was, even though that was the straightforward category. And it said one away. Yeah, this is tough. We might have to go a different direction. And even the whole compound word thing, nothing's really jumping out to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm thinking like names. Like Powers could be a last name. Yeah, I'm definitely not seeing much. How we doing over there on our TikTok land? If you're joining us, hang out for a bit. We're doing some fun little things here, and we're going to get back into our next conversation. Hit the like button, hit the follow button, share our live. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and most Fridays or Saturdays. We're really struggling with this connection, so anybody popping on here, feel free to drop some hints in the chat. We're not going to go to Google. I don't like doing that. That's kind of more cheating. We bring Nova in to see if she can help us out a little bit, and she can be a help at times, but not always. But yeah, definitely hit that like button while you're over there hanging out with us for a bit. I'm really struggling here. So if you're seeing, I'm seeing rubbish, baloney, and bull. I'm thinking like when you're calling someone a liar, basically. But I can't think of a fourth word that fits with that. So I'm thinking we might be on the wrong course. We tried crank with it. It said we were one away. I know it's not hike, nap, or archer because I used the hint on here and it said that those were part of the other three categories. So it's either raise, walk, peel, or bunk. Powers, jack, tail, fish, or hunt. And none of those words come up to me as meaning malarkey or someone's lying. We're going to have to take another guess here. We have 2 more tries. I don't think we're going to get this one. Let's shuffle them again. Sometimes that helps. Not always, though. What we say the next category was hike. Hike is the next category. It's just a little bit more difficult. Wow, this is really hard. All right, we're just gonna have to go with some because nothing really is thrown out to me. Let's say jack. That's probably the closest thing that comes to mind. 1 away. Nope. The worst part is once we see this, it might kind of throw it out to us. We're like, oh, okay, now I see it. This is kind of the way it goes. What do we try? Just jack? Let's try nap. No. And that didn't even say 1 away. Nonsense. Bunk. Okay, so we were right on the category, but it was bunk. Okay. Increase or up. So crank, hike, jack, or raise, moving something upwards. Fictional spies. It's funny. I was thinking Ethan Hunt and Austin Powers. Archer, I know, is that cartoon spy. I've never watched the show, and I have no idea who Peel is. And then the last one was, there was the compound word catfish, cat nap, cat tail, cat walk. I don't like that. That's Catfish and catnap I've heard. Cattail I've heard of. Catwalk, I've never heard of that. So I didn't really like that one. Not a fan, but hey, whatever. Other people might got it. So. Hopefully all my wellness warriors are over there doing their thing. Enjoying their miraculous, motivational, mindless, mindfulness Monday. I always like Mondays. Mondays aren't a bad start to the week. Sometimes it's those middle days that kind of get to you a little bit. Kind of like, ugh, is it over yet? Sometimes, not always. So let's go ahead and get into our next kind of part of our conversation, which is kind of about morning myths, right? Are you someone who kind of lives by the motto of the early bird gets the worm? Me too. And I've always kind of lived by that mindset. But I've started to learn a little bit more, or at least think a little bit more about what that actually means. The early bird gets the worm, right? Basically, it means get up early, get to work, do your thing. Don't be lazy, because if you want to succeed, you get to the work right away, you get it done, and then bam, you've got nothing to worry about. But that might not necessarily be the way other people work. And once again, this is coming from someone who I am the early bird type. If you give me something to do, I'm going to start it right now because I want to get it finished. I don't want to wait until the last minute, because when we talk about procrastinators, we often kind of associate procrastination with laziness. And I think maybe I've had a little bit of a mindset shift with this one, in that if it's a let's say it's a project you get for work or whatever it might be, and it's not due for 6 months down the road. Sure, you can start that now, but to what end? Are you going to start it and finish it today or within the next week? And then what? Not touch it for the next 5 months? Maybe review it every so often and kind of see what you got? I think that's great if you have a plan. But if you're going to hurry up and complete whatever your project was and just let it sit without even looking at it, and then the deadline comes and says, here you go, boss, I finished that project. Oh, wow, thanks, man. Thanks for getting that in on time. Oh, yeah, no problem. I finished this months ago. And your boss looks at you and says, months ago? You should have been updating this consistently. That's why I gave you a 6-month deadline on this thing. Oh, shoot, I didn't know that. You gave me the project and I wanted to hurry up and get it done. I wanted to show you I wasn't lazy. That's fine. I appreciate you getting into that, but you didn't look at it at all, right? Did you check for any errors? Review the material? Have anybody else look at it? Now you've got a product that, yeah, you hurried up and got it done right at the very beginning, and it's wrong. Just saying. So the procrastinators, the wait till the last minute people. Now, they're not totally off the hook, right? Same project. You've had this thing for 6 months. Maybe you started bits and pieces here, right, man? And which is a good way to kind of go about it. You just started, I want to give this my all, so we're going to start it slow. I'm going to build out my steps. Right now, it's just all review, read, learn as much as I can. We'll get into the nitty gritty, the real work later on down the line, closer to the deadline. Or I'm someone who just really puts it off, and then the night before, I'm just cranking away information. I'm putting out a product. And same thing can happen. It might not be that great of a product, right? I put all this extra work into it, and because it was last minute, there was no time to review it, proofread it, have anybody else look at it. I just got to turn it in as is. Could have the same results, right? So that's where that whole idea of the early bird gets the worms versus the night owl versus the wait until the last minute versus the procrastinator. Which side is right? Neither side and both sides. Right? We've talked about dialectics on this channel. I love the idea of dialectics. I think that is what's really helped shift my mind. Is guess what? The early bird who gets the worm? You're right. That's a great way to be. But the night owl, the procrastinator, you're also right. Where is the blend in the product? Starting early, right? Getting some really core pieces of work down now. But then throughout the next month, planning out a schedule to give the utmost work, right? The best quality of work throughout that next 6 months or whatever the time frame might be is going to ultimately give you a better product. You have time to proofread, review it, revise it, have someone else take a look at it, and then even wait until the night before, right? Running through some things. Maybe it's some big presentation you have to give. And we all know how everybody loves public speaking. Not really. So don't be so judgmental on people, right? Some people might wait till the last minute and still put out a good product. The issue is if you're talking about performance, right? That's a whole different idea. If the project is due September 8th, 2025 at 9:00 p.m. and our night owl, our procrastinator is over here waiting until the last minute to get it done, but yet they're still getting it turned in by 9:00 tonight on the due date, it's still on time. It's still on time. Now, don't get me wrong. I have also been one of those people, and I probably always will be at some level, that if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you might as well just go home and try again tomorrow. There's part of me that will probably always be that way, but I am a little bit more understanding at the other end. Not everybody works at your own pace or at your pace, and that's okay. It doesn't mean their way is wrong. Are they still getting the job done? That is the key. We talked last week about slowing down a little bit. I know for me personally, that's something I've been working on, and I think I'm doing a darn good job of it. But yeah, let other people work at their pace as long as they're still getting it done. It's still the same product at the end. So just a kind of different way to kind of shift your mindset a little bit. And trust me, I've been working on that one a little bit. Seeing a lot of people popping over here on TikTok. I'd like it if you stuck around and hung out with us for a little bit. We're a different type of channel than what you're probably used to seeing. Right? We are a wellness channel, right? Anything and everything wellness. Mondays are typically our kind of motivation / mindset topic days. We'll be live again Wednesday, probably about the same time, 8:30. And that'll be more of our kind of wellness trend Wednesday, where we look into other things, wellness, what's popular out there, things like that. And then Fridays or Saturdays, depending on my schedule when we go live, that's our BBW After Dark. If you know, you know. Yeah, where we talk really just about anything we want to, because honestly, kind of anything and everything can kind of be tied back into wellness in its own way. So that's what we do there. But we are a young channel. We're still kind of growing. We just started this channel back in March or April. I think it was like early April. We were planning it back in March. I was on a previous podcast with my brother and a dear friend of mine. And we'd been doing that podcast for a few years, and unfortunately it didn't really grow the way we had hoped. We were having a lot of fun, the three of us, but decided it was time to hang it up. But I felt like I still had a little something here in the tank, and that's what caused me to start Bargain Brand Wellness. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. I do not claim to be an expert on wellness. I am a student of wellness, just like the rest of you. And I hope to, get engagement with you. Maybe you can teach me something. And I hope that maybe I can also impart some of my knowledge that I've picked up over the years with you as well. So, yeah. Let's bring Nova back in and talk to her for a moment. Hey there, Nova. We just finished another conversation. We were talking about the difference between those that consider themselves the early bird gets the worm, and the difference between those who kind of wait until the last minute, and the dialectical side to both.
Absolutely. And that's a really fun topic. I mean, there's definitely a bit of a dialectical dance between the early birds who love to get things done ahead of time and the last minute heroes who seem to thrive on that ticking clock. Each side has its own charm. The early birds might get to enjoy a little more peace of mind, while the last minute folks might get a burst of adrenaline fueled creativity. And the truth is, there's a little bit of value in both approaches. Sometimes planning ahead gives you a nice, calm roadmap, and sometimes a little last-minute rush brings out a different kind of brilliance. So it's all about finding that balance and maybe borrowing a page from both playbooks when you need to.
I like it. I guess here's the ultimate question, because we did, for us here on Bargain Brand Wellness, we said neither side is wrong, neither side is right. But let me ask you this. What do the numbers say? Is there a consensus out there on which side is right? The early birds or the last minute warriors?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one of those things where the numbers can be a little bit of a mixed bag. Some studies will say that early birds do tend to report feeling less stressed because they get things done ahead of time. But on the other hand, you also have research showing that some people genuinely thrive under as little time pressure and pull out their best work at the 11th hour. So it's really more about knowing yourself and what works for you. There's no absolute winner in the numbers game. It's all about what fits your style and keeps you balanced. So yeah, no one's got the ultimate crown here. Both sides have their own wins.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think there are some people who thrive under pressure and honestly could end up giving you a better product than the individuals who worked on it early and consistently over the last 6 months. I do agree with that. I'll tell you what, Nova, can you find us a short video on YouTube that kind of talks about, about this?
Sure thing. I found a video that dives into that exact topic. It's called Night Owls versus Early. Hey, what's up? Feel free to ask me about any right here at youtube.com/watch VHivepHKZKOVE. Should give you a nice little overview of the whole early bird versus last minute dynamic.
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. I guess, is there a way for me to access that while we're in voice mode?
No worries at all. Yeah, I can just tell you the title and you can look it up whenever you're ready. So the video is called Night Owls versus Early Birds. Who's more productive? On YouTube. Just pop that into the search bar when you get a chance and you'll be all set.
All right, thanks, Nova. We'll check it out. All right, let's check this out. She said night owls versus early birds. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's check this out. See what this is coming to you from ASAP Science. Let's see what they have to offer here.
You may have heard the saying, the early bird gets the worm, but when it comes to humans, do morning people really have an advantage over night owls? Does one come out on top as more intelligent or successful than the other in this battle over bedtime? The somewhat surprising truth is that we have little say in sleep preference, as it's almost entirely genetically predetermined. Chances are, if you're a night owl, it was likely passed down from an ancestor who was also a night owl, and from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. Having individuals with varying sleeping patterns would allow for better protection of a group throughout the day and night. Instead of everybody sleeping at one time, some people naturally stay up later and some wake up earlier, aware of threats or predators, while others sleep.
So I never really thought about it from that perspective, which is interesting because I like to take everything back to our primitive instinctual nature. That the idea that some people are the early birds and some people are the night owls is more of a survival reason. That's actually a very interesting point that I'd never thought about. That we had to worry about predators, right? We haven't always been the top of the food chain, and technically we're still not, if you think about it. But that is interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Considering most modern societal activities happen between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., it may seem clear that night owls are put at a disadvantage, and researchers have actually coined the term social jet lag to describe the sleep deprivation many experience to accommodate social norms. For night owls, this social jet lag feels like living in a different time zone every single day. Considering chronic sleep deprivation has a direct effect on brain functioning, it's no surprise.
All right, so so a little disclaimer, which is fine. We'll still watch this. This is actually talking more about the idea of people getting up early versus staying up late. It kind of fits. It's kind of the same idea, but just in a different way. We were looking at it more from a productivity type way. This is just looking at it more from like a sleep study type way.
That studies report night owl university students have lower overall grades. Not to mention, early birds tend to display more positive social traits, such as being proactive and optimistic, and are less prone to depression or addictions to nicotine, alcohol, and food. And we can see these traits represented physically in the brain, particularly the white matter, which helps neurons communicate. Night owls exhibit significantly less white matter, and as a result, there are fewer pathways for feel-good hormones such as serotonin or dopamine to travel through. But it's not all bad for the late-nighters. In fact, they tend to be much more creative, have been found to have higher cognitive abilities, and are known to be risk takers. What they lack in white matter, they make up in cortisol levels. This stress hormone gets your body ready to face an immediate threat, contributing to their risk-taking behavior, which studies show can translate into opportunities and potentially much more financial gain.
And we know what cortisol does. Cortisol is the stress survival hormone. And when you are sleep deprived, your body produces extra cortisol. We'll talk about the night owls. We'll talk about a cat eye shift or graveyard shift, whatever you want to call it, here at the end of the video. If you know,
even though morning
you
people
know.
can be very energetic right after waking, they tend to lose steam faster than night owls throughout the day. Both sides perform equally well in reaction time tests an hour after waking, but after 10 hours of being awake, night owls perform significantly better. Your inner clock is regulated by many proteins which are created from various genes in your DNA. Studies have even shown that a single change of the genetic code near a gene called period 1 can result in an hour difference in your waking time. As crazy as it seems, scientists also found a correlation between these same genes and your time of death. The early risers were more likely to die around 11 a.m., while the night owls were more likely to die before 6 p.m. What about teenagers, you say? It's true, most tend to be night owls due to the hormonal changes during puberty, but this tends to wane out into your genetic default as you enter adulthood. So while there may be some truth to early birds getting the worm, night owls aren't exactly lagging behind in life, they're just lagging behind in time. Don't forget to check out our latest ASAP Thought video.
So that was definitely an interesting take. I hadn't thought about that your night owls, they talked about that reaction time after like so many hours, how it improves because they just become used to it. I hadn't thought about that either. I will tell you, I've had to work night shift. I know a lot of people who have worked that. That is a special shift to work. Whatever job, I don't care what the job is. I think I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more if it was more of a active role. There was a lot to do. Where I had to work it was just sitting around watching people sleep, and then getting up every so often just do a quick check, which was not interesting by any means. I despise third shift. All respect for those who actually like it, because I don't know how y'all do it. I work third shift and I can find things to do. And I was always pretty good at that. I would find things to do to keep myself busy. My issue was always more the after, right? When I went home, I could probably go straight to sleep if I wanted to, but then I couldn't stay asleep. I'd go home, I'd sleep for maybe 3 or 4 hours, get back up. Feel like I didn't want to just waste the rest of my day. So I would try to do something, anything. Didn't work. We'd probably just end up sitting around watching TV most of the day. And then I'd always try to like lay back down for a few hours before I went back into work. Yeah, that didn't work either. Yeah, that was rough. That was a long year. I think it was about a year and a half rough that I had to do that. Oh, yeah, that's rough. And then I know a lot of people who work night shift that when they're off, when they're not at work, when they don't have to work that night, they just go back to a regular sleep schedule. I don't know how y'all do that. If I was working that consistently, that's what I would have to like sleep just consistently do that. Which would make your days off weird because you'd sleep during the day and then be up all night with just whatever, nothing to do. That would be tough. But I think you'd eventually get used to it, but yeah. So, interesting. We learned something there. All right, let's get into another game. Let us get into our word salad. This is another new one we were playing. If you've ever seen this one, there's several words kind of scrambled in here that we're going to try to find. I will tell you, some of these are a little bit difficult, the way they're kind of weaved in there. But we're looking at types of storms here. So the first thing I'm seeing right off the bat is hail. And as we get it, if a letter isn't needed anymore, the letter will disappear, just so you're aware. Oh, shoot, I forgot to share my screen with my YouTube friends. That should be big enough. I was thinking about going with this screen, but then that makes me really small. And honestly, that looks relatively big enough. We could probably make that a little bit bigger if we wanted to, but we'll go with that for now. That looks good. I mean, the only thing it's kind of hard to see, to be in all honesty, is the numbers on the bottom, but it looks good over on TikTok. So, all right, so hail. I'm seeing thunder. Those are the hard ones. Whenever it comes down, you have to go back across. Those are the hard ones. And just in case you've never seen these, they are in alphabetical order as far as the bottom here. So this started with an H. These two words will start, since the H is gone, will be anything from G and up. I'm thinking firestorm, but that's not right, and it doesn't really fit. I was thinking ice storm, but there's no 3-letter words in here. And because there's a lot, it's not always going to be storm. It may not necessarily all be weather related, because how many different types of storm is there? Hailstorm, thunderstorm. I think ice storm, but I don't think that's even really a thing. I mean, rainstorm. Yeah. And that didn't get rid of any letters. Snowstorm, but there's no O or W. What other type of storm? And one of them's a 7-letter word. So I'm thinking like the 4 or 5-letter word is going to begin with probably a D, B, F, or C. There's not always that many words that begin with a vowel. So a D, I'm thinking desert storm, but we don't have the correct letters here. But that's where my mind immediately went. That'd be a good one, but it's not up here. Here we go. I found the 5-letter one. Brainstorm. Once again, just thinking outside the box, that gets rid of the B. So that means that this 4-letter word is going to be a D, a C, or an F. I'm not thinking anything D. Dep, des, den. We have dens, Dennett. It's only a 4-letter word, so that's not going to be it. And then we have C. C-E-F. No. C-I. No. C-A. I see that. I see Cane. Kate Storm. No. I was thinking cans. Cane Storm. Hand. I mean, it could be an A. Honestly, it could be a vowel. I don't know. I was just kind of going. Oh, sorry. I didn't even see you in the chat there, bud. Tropical. Ooh, tropical storm would have been a good one there, buddy. Aren't you supposed to be working? I'm just joking. No, tropical storm. That's actually would have been a very good one. Sorry, you're all the way over here, and I'm looking over here. Bam, bam, bam. Jeremiah, thanks for giving me some likes over there. It's been quiet over here. That if I get 200 likes, we get 200 or whatever these are. So why don't you tap that like button a few more times? I don't know why Firestorm keeps coming to me, but it's not fire. But I can't even get to the E. I guess Jeremiah left me. Thanks for popping in. Give me at least 12 likes, everybody. Let's get some music back on. It gets a little quiet, but it's weird because it's like, I think it's just me. As long as I can keep it low enough over here, like right here is good. It was really TikTok. It looked like it was getting really loud, but I think we're good right there. All right. What about Drat Storm? Drat, we thought we had it. Drain Storm. Fin Storm. What about Frick? Frick, I wish we could figure this out. Frit Storm. Oh, there it is. It was Firestorm. I didn't see that other E. Duh. I didn't see that other E on the bottom. Oh, well, we got it. All right. Now our 7 and our 4-letter word. Our 4-letter word is probably going to begin with either a T or an S. Because it's between R and T. I'm thinking it begins with an S. It's a 4-letter word, though. Sandstorm. Damn, we're good. We're good. All right, what do we got? And the last one, Perfect Storm. Woo! Woo! Thanks for following and liking the live. Appreciate the love. We got another follower in there. I don't know who that is. Nova. Funny, Nova. Hey, it's just funny. Thanks for popping by. Nova is the name of our AI friend that we use on here. So that's pretty clever. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for following. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so we got our word salad. That was pretty good. That one wasn't too bad. I've had other ones that were much tougher. Much tougher. So, awesome. Awesome. We so awesome. All right, kind of the last kind of topic, or kind of subtopic, we kind of already jumped into it a little bit. It's talking about how, motivation, in order to kind of get that going, sometimes it just takes a little momentum, right? We kind of talked about that at the very beginning of the show, that sometimes just getting started is really kind of the step in the right direction that you need. Just getting up in the morning, whatever it is, not hitting the snooze button, just hopping up. I saw a video the other day from one of my TikTok friends that was talking about how depression can't hit a moving object. And that's what kind of got me on this thought process of, yeah, like keep moving, right? Keep moving. Sitting here dancing, whatever it is, how can you really be sad when you're dancing? You still might have all these thought processes going. What still might not necessarily be all that easy. Life is tough. But just keep moving and kind of taking a step in the right direction. Right? They always say, maybe it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember earlier we talked about progress? That's still progress. It might take you a while to get to your destination, but you will get there. And honestly, the destination is only half of the battle. The journey oftentimes is the real life lessons learned. So slow down, take 1 step at a time, right? 1 day at a time, right? That's also a big one I learned, right? I was in therapy for about 3 years. And one of the things I really had to tell myself was 1 day at a time. 1 day at a time. This too shall pass. Right? Because it would feel like I would kind of go into, I don't want to say self-destruct mode, chaos mode. My world is crumbling. My world is ending mode. I was kind of in a mode like that there for a couple years, really, at least in some realm. And it's tough. It's tough being in that world where it just feels like your world is just crumbling around you. The littlest problem feels like it's going to last forever, and it doesn't. It goes away, and tomorrow's a new day. To quote, a favorite movie of mine, Vanilla Sky. Here's in hopes that I'll see you in another life where we both are cats. That's one part of the line. The main part of the line is tomorrow's just another day to turn it all around. And that's such a great way of looking at things. I love that movie. I know it didn't get the best reviews, but first off, I love Tom Cruise. I think he's a great actor. I think he's such a good actor. But that whole idea, like, you've made mistakes. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to continue to make mistakes. But you know what? Tomorrow is another chance to do something different, to make some changes, which kind of fits in with the theme of tonight's episode, right? That change agent, that way that you want to grow. So here's my challenge for anybody who's listening, anybody who's out there, anybody who maybe runs into this content later on. What are some steps, right? What are some things that you really want to change? How do you really want to grow in life? I don't want the long-term goal. I mean, I think that's good. I think it's good to have that, but write that long-term goal down on a sheet of paper, fold it up, put it away. Go put it in one of those time capsule things, and go bury it in the yard with a set date that you're going to open that thing. Because that long-term goal, that's great. If you don't have the how in place, it's going to be really hard to get there. That's all I'm saying. You need to have the baby steps. You need to have the little pieces of how you're gonna get there. And that's what we're kind of doing here. We're kind of at the bare minimum right here, right? We're at the low. We get some of our viewers on, all of which are people who I know in my personal life. We're hoping to grow our channel. But how are you going to do that? We're putting little steps in place. Right? For us, it's consistent streaming 3 days a week, right? Promoting our content, giving you, the audience, short form versions of our content. It's time consuming. I'm not going to lie to you, right? That's the hardest part. That's why I'm trying to figure out a product that I can put out that's quality for you all, but that I have time to actually create. Because at this time, this is just a hobby. This is just something I'm doing for fun. Yes, it'd be nice for it to generate some revenue, but that day might not come. I still enjoy doing this. I'm not doing this for a revenue stream, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that would be nice. That would be a nice benefit. So that's what we're planning on doing. Like I said, we took a little bit of a hiatus over the summer, but we're back. We're here, and we're going to continue to grow. And let's see where we can get by the end of the year. We're early here in September. Got a few months to do some work. Let's see what we can do. So, yeah. All right, getting into our next game. Here's a newer one that we played on Friday last week called Contexto. This is one where you basically just kind of guess any word. They don't really give you a category. You just guess a word and try to figure it out. So yeah, and you really start with anything. So I'm gonna start with what I started off with. Last week we're gonna start off with dog. Dog is 860, so that's not terrible. I'm gonna tell you it's probably not dog. Probably not dog. Cat. Okay, so it's definitely further away from that, from cat. Dog, let's try wolf. All right, wolf is at 208. So let's say tooth. Tooth is at 112. Brush, further away. Wolf, tooth. Let's try necklace, 939. Wolf tooth. Snack. Hair. Wolf tooth. Let's try teeth. Okay, tooth, teeth, it counts that as the same word. Smile. Wolf teeth. Brush. Oh, we already guessed brush the mouth. Say breath. No. Wolf tooth. Bite. No. Brush, wolf, tooth. I mean, I know where I was going with that. I guess Contexto doesn't agree. Brush, wolf, tooth. Tongue. I mean, 112 isn't too far off. So I mean, it's pretty close to that, but we still have a ways to go. Can we try eat? Oh, eat's way off. Ain't got nothing to do with eating. Okay, well, let's try this. Maybe it's body parts. Tail. Okay, we're getting closer. 120. Fur. We already said mouth, didn't we? Yeah, we already said mouth. So tooth, wolf tail, tooth. Leg. Arm. Ooh, arm. Ooh. Arm is 30. Let's try tattoo. No, tattoo's way off. All right. Wolf, tail, tooth, arm. Muscle. No. Arm is 30. Paw. Paw is 67. Tooth, paw, arm. Arm is 30. Hand. Finger. Shoulder. I mean, I'm just trying body parts at this time. All right, shoulder 69. Back. Stomach. Like I said, and they don't even give you a category. It's just trying to figure out based off of the words which ones fit. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? Something done. I used to know the lyrics to that song. Wolf, tail, 2, shoulder, paw, arm. How's the game? The Frankfurt. Damn, that was a close game. You know what you should do? You should hop on my live and get me up to 200 likes. If I get 200 likes, I get whatever. I don't know what this is. Thanks, bro. Jeremiah gave me 12. Yeah. Two, shoulder, paw, and arm. I'm not seeing this one. This is a tough one. Arm. Wolf, tail, tooth, shoulder, paw, arm. Arm is 30. I mean, it's not bicep. Forearm. No, we're getting way off. It's not that specific. Arm. How else can you look at arm? Robot? No. Oh, that's way off. So it's not a robot. It's not mechanical. Are we talking about a living creature? Thanks for the likes, Channing. Appreciate it. It says here, I don't know what these are. They almost look like diamonds, maybe. I don't think they're diamonds. All right, let's bring Nova back in for a second. Hey there, Nova. We're playing another game of Contexto and trying to figure out what the word is. Our closest guesses are wolf is at a score of 208, tail is 120, tooth is 112, shoulder is 69, paw 67, and arm 30.
All right, sounds like a fun puzzle. So with those warm and cold numbers, you're definitely in the realm of body parts and animal features. Since woof is your highest score, and tail and tooth are up there too, you're probably circling around something dog-related or canine-related. And with all those...
All right, hold on a second. It's actually going in the other direction. The lower the number, the closer it is. Those were just the top numbers. So arm at 30 is actually the closest.
I got it. Thanks for the heads up. In that case, since arm at 30 is the closest, we're definitely looking at something a bit more human or limb-oriented. So we're probably after a word that's closer to a body part like arm, but maybe even more specific. You might want to think about other limb-related words like hand or elbow or something in that neighborhood. That should get you closer to the Tarnu word.
So we already used hand. Elbow isn't it? We've done other words like back, hand. I'm pretty sure I did finger. Yeah, we've done finger. We've done all those, and they're really far away.
All right, so we've ruled out a lot of the obvious limb and body part guesses. If arm is the closest at 30 and the others are farther away, we might be looking for something that's a bit more specific, or maybe even a joint or a smaller part of the arm area. You could try something like wrist or elbow if you haven't already, or even bicep or forearm. Sometimes it's just about narrowing down which part of the arm area it's nudging you toward. Give one of those a shot and see if that gets you any closer.
Yeah, no, we've tried all those. Thanks, Channing. We've tried all those, Nova. None of those are even close.
Got it. We're really zeroing in here. Well, if all those are still a bit off, then maybe think about something like elbow, wrist, or even a word like joint. If you haven't eyed that, it might be nudging you toward a very specific part of the arm area, or a smaller detail like knuckle or palm. Sometimes it's a little twist in the word choice. But hopefully one of those will get you a bit closer to the bullseye.
No, none of them got us any closer. The only one that was still kind of in the green was palm, got us 196. Arm is still the closest at 30, followed by paw at 67 and shoulder at 69.
All right, gotcha. So with arm still the closest at 30, and palm, paw, and shoulder kind of trailing further behind, it seems like we're really in the territory of something related to the arm or maybe a connecting part. Let's think about something like forearm or even bicep. If those are too far off, you might want to try a word like upper arm or even tricep. It's probably a really specific part of the arm that's closer than just arm itself. Hopefully, one of those will get you to the answer.
All right, so we just did upper, and that gave me a score at 41. So it's now in second.
All right, we're definitely getting warmer. So if upper is now your second closest at 41 and arm is still the closest, that really points us right to the full phrase upper arm. And it seems like you've pretty much got it. The target word is most likely upper arm. So you're right on track. Nice work.
All right, it can only be one word. So here is our top list so far. Wolf at 208, palm 196, tail 120, tooth 112, head 89, neck 80, shoulder 69, paw 67, upper 41, and arm 30.
All right, seeing that full list laid out definitely helps. Since arm is at 30 and upper is at 41, we're probably looking for a single word that's basically another way to refer to that part of the arm. Given that you've got everything else ruled out, the best fit is probably just the word bicep. It's literally the main muscle in the upper arm, and that lines up really closely with arm and upper being your top clues.
We've
So I'd say
already
go ahead.
we've already tried bicep. It didn't work.
Gotcha. Well, in that case, let's go for another close guess. If bicep didn't hit the mark, you might want to try something like forearm, since it's also part of the arm area and could be a close match, or even elbow if that hasn't been tried yet in this round. It might just be a matter of finding that one exact piece of the puzzle in the arm region. Let's give one of those a shot and see if that's the winner.
Yeah, we've already tried those. None of those worked.
All right, it sounds like this one's being a real brain teaser. If we've tried all the common arm related words like bicep, forearm, elbow, and none of those hit the target, and we might be looking at something a little more unusual or a slightly different term for the upper arm area. Maybe try something like triceps if that hasn't been attempted, or even a more anatomical term like humerus, the bone of the upper arm. Sometimes these puzzles are a bit sneaky with vocabulary. Let's give one of those a shot and see if that's the missing geese.
Yeah, we've already done tricep. I really don't think it's going to be humerus.
Yeah, fair enough. Humerus might be a bit of a curveball. This puzzle is definitely keeping us on our toes. If we've rolled out all the usual suspects, bicep, tricep, forearm, elbow, and we've got arm and upper as the closest chins, then it might be something a little less obvious. Let's try one more angle. Maybe the word is just limb, since that's a broader term that includes arms. Or you could try bicep again, just in case there was a small slip. If none of those work, it might just be one of those tricky words that's a little outside the usual vocabulary. Either way, we've given it a good run.
Yeah, limb's already been guessed. I think we're kind of falling off a little bit. Is there another way we can look at arm, like other than a body part? Is there another way to kind of go about it?
Absolutely. Let's flip our perspective a bit. If we think of arm not just as a body part, but maybe as something else like a branch or an extension, or even as a verb, then we might land on a new idea. For example, arm can also mean to equip or to supply, or it can be part of something like the arm of a chair or the arm of a river. So you might want to think in terms of extensions or branches or even tools that you arm yourself with. Maybe that shift in thinking will unlock the final piece of the puzzle.
So when I put in tree, that was at 61, and then branch was at 43. So both of those fit into third and fourth place.
All right, that's a really good sign. If branch and tree are also getting pretty close, then we're definitely on the right track thinking about arm in a mere metaphorical way. So it might be something like a limb of a tree, though I know you said limb was guessed, or maybe something like appendage if we're going a bit more abstract. It sounds like we're circling around the idea of a part that extends out, like a branch from a tree or an arm from a body. Maybe try extension or offshoot or even offshoot if you haven't already. It might be one of those words that connects the concept of arm to something that branches out. Let's see if that gets us closer.
No, none of those worked.
Alright, this one is definitely a tough nut to crack. Sometimes these puzzles are just super sneaky. If none of those extensions or metaphors are hitting the mark, then we might just be dealing with a really unusual or rare word. But hey, we gave it a solid effort and explored a bunch of angles. If you do figure it out, definitely let me know. I'm curious not to.
Are you out of guesses now, Nova? Are you giving up?
Well, let's just say this puzzle's got some serious tricks up its sleeve.
That's a good way to look at it.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just have to tip your hat to a tricky puzzle and enjoy the ride. It's all part of the fun. So no worries, we gave it a good go, had some laughs, and that's what counts.
All right, so we're going to try this. It's set up within the game. We're not going to give up yet. There is a hint. Let's click on the hint. All right, it gave us a hint. Plaque is at 15 now, so that's our new top word.
Oh, that's a super interesting hint. So if clack is your new top word at 15, that's a total game changer. We're probably looking at something to do with a nameplate or a commemorative plaque, or maybe even something that has to do with an arm in a more symbolic sense, like an arm of service that you recognize with a plaque. So we might be talking about something like an award or insignia or emblem, something you might find on a plaque, or something that represents an achievement. Let's try thinking in that direction and see if that leads us to the final answer.
So I typed in award, service, soldier. None of those did anything.
All right, this puzzle is definitely putting up a fight. With plaque being the closest clue and none of those other words doing the trick, we might be dealing with something nice, kind of a twist on recognition, or something you'd literally find on or near a plaque. Let's try one last angle. Maybe it's something like a dedication or commemoration, since plaques are often used for that. Or it could be something like nameplate or marker, something that you literally attach to a plaque. Hopefully, one of those will do the trick. If not, well, we certainly covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I just tried a bunch of those. Nothing's really popping up to me.
This puzzle is definitely one for the record books. Sometimes these word games just have that one
All right,
super...
hold on. I just put in flag. Flag is at 26, so that's now on second. So our top three are plaque, flag, and arm.
Oh, nice. With flag now in second place, I think we're really zeroing in. Now we've got plaque, flag, and arm all in the top three. That definitely suggests we're looking at something that's kind of an emblem or a symbol that you might see on a plaque or a flag, maybe something to do with heraldry or a badge of honor. Given those clues, it might be something like a coat of arms. That's literally a symbol you'd see on a plaque or a flag, and it includes the word arm right in it. So I'd say give coat of arms a try.
Well, it can only be one word, and then I just put in badge. Badge is at 23. So we have plaque, badge, flag, arm, upper are the top five.
All right, with badge now in the mix, that definitely puts us right in that territory of symbols of recognition. Since we've got plaque, badge, flag, and arm all clustering together, I think we're looking for a one-word turn that ties them all together. Given all of that, I'd say the word might just be emblem. It's a single word. It can appear on a plaque, on a badge, on a flag, and it relates to arms or coats of arms.
Ooh, all right. Here's a new one for you, Nova. Emblem. It's not an emblem, but emblem is at 5.
Oh, we are so close. If emblem is at 5, we're definitely circling right around the answer. That means it's something in that same realm of a symbolic or heraldic item that you'd find associated with plaques, flags, and arms. So let's try one final guess. It might be something like crest. A crest is a single word and is often part of a coat of
That
arms.
was it. It was crest. Oh, that was hard.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad we finally cracked it. That was definitely a tricky one, but hey, you stuck with it and we got there in the end. So hats off to you for the determination and for taking me along for the puzzle ride.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
We absolutely did. Teamwork for the win. That was a good brain workout and a fun adventure. So, well done to us.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Nova, before we leave, I want to do one more video review based off of the topics we've discussed tonight with change, right? Morning mist, which we already talked, and then momentum equals motivation. Can you suggest another short video we can check out on YouTube and react to?
Absolutely. So a great little video that fits right into our theme is one called Change Your Life in 41 Seconds. It's a super short and sweet YouTube video that's all about how embracing change can really kickstart your motivation. So you can check that out, have a quick watch, and I think it'll be a nice little wrap up for everything we talked about tonight.
What? Change Your Life in 41 Seconds. Do you know who it's? Okay, I think I found it. Does it involve the actor Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, that sounds about right. There's a little motivational clip out there where Matthew McConaughey gives a quick pep talk about embracing change, and it's a nice little dose of inspiration. So if that's the one you found, you're spot on. Enjoy
right.
the watch.
I think that one's it. So we'll watch that one. All right, Nova, we're going to watch that and then we're going to wrap it up for this evening. Thanks for popping on here with us, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday. I was going to give Nova the opportunity to sign off, but I guess she doesn't want to. Whatever, we didn't want you to anyway. All right, let's check out this video real quick.
There is freedom in responsibility. You know, and that earn your way there. We remember the stuff we earn, the stuff we experience, more than what the teacher tells us or what someone gives us for free. We just do. We broke a proverbial sweat on it, whether it was mental or physical or whatever. We built it. We understand. We felt how we got it, how we achieved it, how we got what we wanted. Those stick with us, whether we forget them intellectually. They were written in our lineage. And they build resilience, and they build a healthy, true optimism going forward to know that, oh no, I've worked for something before and achieved it. There is freedom in responsibility, you know, and that earn your way there. We remember the stuff we earn, the stuff we experience, more than what the teacher tells us or what someone gives us for free.
Okay.
We just do. We broke a proverbial sweat on it, whether it was mental or physical or whatever. We built it.
All right, that kind of just repeated itself. I mean, I kind of get where it was going. It says we remember what we earn, what we experience. You remember that stuff. I'll tell you, the thing it kind of reminds me of is, you know, the relationships you have with other people, relationships you build with children. Children won't remember every little thing that you bought them, right? All the times that they begged and begged and begged, Mom, can I get some gum? Can I get some candy? Can I get a drink? They're not going to remember every video game you bought, every stuffed animal, every toy. But they will remember the lesson. They will remember the moments, good and bad. And once again, you can't have the sweet without a little bit of the bitter. So you're going to have bad moments with everyone in your life. There's no relationship in your life that doesn't have at least some form of resentment in it. When I say that, what I mean is not every moment between you and another person who you would consider that you have a relationship, whether that be work, family, friend, love, intimate. Not every moment with you and that other person has been great, has been awesome. At least one of you have been slightly irritated, at the very least, by the other person at least once throughout the course of your relationship. So you're going to have those bad moments, and that's okay. It really is. It's okay. That's how we build. That's how we develop these relationships. That's what people remember. They'll remember that you were present. They'll remember the experiences. They'll remember the hugs, right? They'll remember the kisses. They'll remember the fights. Our experiences is how we grow, how we build, how we develop throughout life. And it's ever changing, right? What happened today doesn't always have to impact tomorrow. It can influence it. If it's a good thing, I hope it influences for the better. If it's bad, I hope that it influences you to where you can learn from whatever that bad thing was that happened. Maybe it was something you did. Maybe it wasn't your fault. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's not a bad video. It wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. But that's how they get with these YouTube titles, which we're guilty of using. I mean, it's clickbait. It is what it is. So, Ellie popped in here. She's about ready for bed. Nobody's on here with us, Ellie. Channing and Jeremiah were in here for a little bit. But that's all right. It's Monday Night Football. So we're taking that into consideration because this is a relatively newer stream. Monday nights may not necessarily be the best. I still like doing Mondays. I don't know. I want to find consistent times is my only issue. So we might have to do earlier on Mondays, or maybe we've just got to find an audience that doesn't care about Monday Night Football. I don't know. I personally like watching it too. I'm actually going to go, I'm actually going to log off here and watch the game. Yeah, it's week 1. What else am I going to do? So, yeah. So thank you all for jumping on here, right? Those of you who've been on here, thanks for the likes from Channing, Jeremiah, and our new follower, Nova. Thanks for jumping on. We appreciate the support. We love you. My wellness warriors, those of you who weren't on here today, hopefully you can make it on Wednesday. Listen, stay motivated, continue to grow, continue to move, and remember, make it worth your wellness. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.